The explosion ripped through the Afghan night like a thunderclap from hell, hurling Captain Elias Hart's Humvee into a ditch off the dusty road near Kandahar. Shrapnel tore into his chest before he could even shout a warning to his squad, and in that final, blurring instant, he clutched the dog tags around his neck, not for salvation, but for the ghost of a promise he'd buried deeper than any grave. As the flames licked at his boots, Elias whispered a name into the smoke. Jamie, the one word that had anchored his soul through years of sandstorms and silent screams. Back in the States, the funeral at Arlington National Cemetery unfolded under a sky heavy with unshed rain, the kind that mirrors the weight of unspoken grief. Elias's parents, stern-faced pillars of small-town Ohio conservatism, stood ramrod straight beside the flag-draped casket, their eyes fixed on the horizon as if willing their son back from the dust. The chaplain droned on about duty and honor, but Jamie Ruiz, the private who'd survived that convoy ambush by sheer dumb luck, lingered at the cemetery's edge, hidden behind a cluster of weathered headstones. His uniform chafed against skin still raw from the bandages, but it was the leather-bound journal Elias had shoved into his hands during their last frantic evacuation that burned hottest in his pack, a relic heavier than any Purple Heart. Jamie had enlisted at 18, fresh out of a Bronx high school where graffiti-covered walls whispered dreams of escape louder than his mother's weary sighs. Elias had been his platoon leader from day one at Fort Bragg, a towering figure with a jaw like carved granite and eyes that held the quiet storm of someone who'd seen too much too young. Ruiz, you move like you've got fire in your veins. Elias had barked during their first drill, but there was a flicker in his gaze, a spark that Jamie mistook for camaraderie until the night they shared a foxhole under a barrage of mortar fire. Bullets whined overhead like vengeful spirits, and in the mud-slicked dark, Elias's hand had brushed Jamie's, not by accident, but with a deliberate grip that lingered, electric and forbidden. That touch ignited something neither could name at first, a current running counter to every oath they'd sworn. Elias, at 32, was the golden boy of the 80s 2nd Airborne, decorated for valor in Iraq, whispered about in officer messes as the next big thing. But beneath the stars on his shoulders lay fractures, his father's Bible-thumping disdain for those kinds of sins, a mother who'd prayed away his childhood crushes on the neighbor boy. Jamie, 22 and untested, carried his own scars, a sister lost to gang violence, a father who'd vanished into Rikers, leaving him to navigate a world that viewed his Puerto Rican roots and quiet intensity as threats. In the barracks, they'd stolen moments, shared cigarettes on midnight watches, shoulders brushing in the chow line. Each glance a risk, each silence a shield. The journal had come during their final deployment rotation, after a roadside IED claimed half their squad. Elias, bloodied but unbowed, had pulled Jamie aside in the medevac tent, the air thick with antiseptic and regret. "If I don't make it back, burn this," he'd said, pressing the worn volume into Jamie's palm. Its pages were crammed with Elias's scrawl, tactical notes mingled with fevered confessions, sketches of sunsets over the Hindu Kush that bled into doodles of intertwined hands. Jamie had nodded, throat tight, but he'd hidden it instead, a talisman against the void Elias's death would carve. Now, 3 months post-burial, Jamie paced the cracked linoleum of his one-bedroom in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The journal splayed open on the scarred coffee table. Rain pattered against the window like impatient fingers, and the TV flickered with coverage of Elias's memorial, a sanitized reel of heroism that omitted the man who'd hummed old Springsteen tunes off-key to ease Jamie's homesick nights. Flipping to a dog-eared page, Jamie traced the ink. "Tonight, under Orion's belt, I almost said it." Jay's laugh cuts through the noise like a lifeline. "But the regs, the looks, what if it ends us both?" His chest ached, an echo of the shrapnel that had spared him but stolen Elias. A knock shattered the quiet, sharp, insistent. Jamie froze, heart slamming against his ribs. Through the peephole, he saw Sergeant Lena Vasquez, Elias's XO, her dark hair pulled into a severe bun, rain dripping from her cap. She'd been at the funeral, eyes red-rimmed, but jaw set, the only one who'd clapped Jamie's shoulder with a grip that said she knew more than she let on. Ruiz, open up. We need to talk about the captain's estate. Inside, Lena shrugged off her slicker, steam rising from the fabric like battlefield fog. She was all edges. Filipino-American firebrand who'd clawed her way up from enlisted to command track, her file rumored to hide a dishonorable discharge threat for conduct unbecoming after a leaked email about equal rights. Sit, she ordered, dropping a manila envelope onto the table beside the journal. Jamie's pulse thundered. He'd meant to stash it away, but now it lay exposed, a Pandora's box cracked open. The family contested the will, Lena said, voice low as she poured bad instant coffee from Jamie's percolator. Elias left you something. A trust fund, small but steady. They called it undue influence, said you were just a grunt he pitted. Her eyes flicked to the journal, sharpening. But I know better. He trusted you with more than money. Jamie's fingers twitched toward the book, but he pulled back, the air thickening with the ghost of Elias's cologne, pine and gun oil, faint but eternal. It was nothing, Sarge. He just handed it off in the chaos. Bullshit. Lena leaned in, her gaze a scalpel. I saw how he looked at you in briefings, like you were the only coordinate that mattered. And after that ambush, he pulled strings to keep you off point. If it's what I think, that journal's your ace. The words hung, a challenge laced with solidarity. Jamie's mind reeled back to their last leave in Fayetteville, 2 weeks before Wheels Up. They'd ditched the base for a dive bar on the outskirts, neon buzzing like fireflies in the humid dusk. Beers loosened tongues, and in a shadowed booth, Elias had sketched futures on napkins. Post-retirement ranches in Montana, anonymous lives where hands could hold without courts-martial. What if we just went? Elias had murmured, thumb grazing Jamie's knuckles under the table. But dawn brought reveille, and with it, the walls rebuilt. Now, with Lena's stare boring into him, Jamie cracked the journal's spine again, reading aloud in a voice rough as gravel. Day 47. Jay asked about home today. Told him about Dad's rages, the sermons that branded me wrong from the cradle. He didn't flinch, just shared his own ghosts, the sister gunned down in the crossfire of streets that don't forgive dreamers. God, if only the world saw what I see in him. Lena exhaled, slow and measured. The family's pushing for an injunction. Claim Elias was coerced, unstable. But if that book's legit, it proves he was thinking clear enough to choose you. She tapped the envelope. Legal aid's inside. Fight it, Ruiz. For him. Jamie nodded, but doubt coiled in his gut like barbed wire. Fighting meant exhuming truths Elias had sealed away. The late-night emails deleted in panic, the coded glances that saved them from whispers in the ranks. It meant dragging his own skeletons into the light. Nights spent staring at Elias's photo, wondering if love was a weakness the enemy could exploit. As Lena left, the door clicking shut like a chambered round, Jamie sank onto the couch, journal in lap. Thunder grumbled outside, a prelude to the storm brewing within. He didn't know it yet, but across the state line in Ohio, Elias's father, Reverend Harlan Hart, was poring over the same will, his knuckles white around a cross pendant. Harlan had buried his son's deviations under layers of prayer and denial, but a single line in the probate notice, beneficiary, Private J. Ruiz, had cracked the facade. And in that fracture, old hatred stirred, ready to unleash a reckoning none could foresee. The days blurred into a haze of paperwork and paranoia. Jamie reported to base psych evals, the shrink's questions probing like bayonets. Any unresolved attachments to fallen comrades. He lied through gritted teeth, but the journal haunted his bunk, its pages whispering sedition. One entry gutted him. If I die tomorrow, know this. You're the north on my compass, Jay. Don't let them compass you south. Lena became his anchor, smuggling case files during PT runs through the pine-scented trails of Fort Bragg. She shared her own war stories, not the battlefield kind, but the quiet battles against brass who eyed her marriage to a civilian woman as a liability. Elias covered for me once. She confessed over lukewarm MREs in the motor pool. Caught wind of a commander's witch hunt. Faked a deployment snafu to buy time. Her loyalty was fierce, forged in the unspoken sisterhood of those who loved against orders. But shadows lengthened. Anonymous emails slithered into Jamie's inbox. Faggot leech, Stay away from Hart's name. Base rumor mills churned, whispers of that Ruiz kid cozying up to the CO. Jamie's hands shook during rifle quals, targets blurring into accusatory stares. He confided in Marcus, his bunkmate, a straight-arrow Texan with a Bible verse tattooed on his forearm. But even Marcus's bro hug felt laced with pity. Man, just let it go. Heroes don't need ghosts dragging him down. The first twist came via certified mail. A summons to depose in Ohio. Harlan Hart demanding Jamie's presence to clear the air of impurities. Lena cursed in Tagalog, pacing her quarters. It's a trap. Reverend's got pull, megachurch donors in D.C., senators in his pocket. But Jamie went, journal tucked like a concealed weapon, boarding a Greyhound that rattled through Carolinas and Virginias, each mile a tightening noose. Columbus greeted him with autumn chill, leaves like bloodied confetti underfoot. The Hart family manse loomed on a manicured hill, white clapboard facade hiding a labyrinth of locked rooms. Harlan met him at the door, a bear of a man in clerical collar, eyes like chipped flint. Private Ruiz, he rumbled, handshake crushing. Elias spoke of you. Said you had potential, if guided right. Inside, the air smelled of polished oak and mothballs, photos of a younger Elias beaming from Little League fields, oblivious to the fractures ahead. Harlan's wife, Miriam, hovered like a specter, offering weak tea with trembling hands. He was our miracle, she murmured, gaze skittering away from Jamie's uniform. But it was the study that chilled him, walls lined with Elias's commendations, a shrine to the son they'd molded and mourned. The deposition unfolded in a lawyer's office downtown, fluorescent hum underscoring the inquisition. Harlan's attorney, a slick weasel named Caldwell, grilled Jamie on minutiae, patrol routes, Elias's moods post-missions. Intimate knowledge, private, or just hero worship? Jamie's jaw clenched, journal burning a hole in his satchel. He parried with facts. Elias's leadership saved lives, including his, but Caldwell's smirk widened. And this gift? Smacks of favoritism. Or worse. That night, back at a seedy motel off I-71, Jamie cracked the journal for solace, but a loose page fluttered free. A letter, undated, addressed to no one. Harlan. It began, Elias's script looping with uncharacteristic fury. Your sermons poisoned me young, called my heart a battlefield God lost. But Jay showed me grace you never could. If you're reading this, know I chose truth over your lies. Jamie's breath hitched. Elias had anticipated this war, arming him from beyond. Dawn brought the call from Lena. Ruiz, heads up, Prescott wind. Some rags running, Captain's secret lover? Spineless hacks. Jamie's world tilted, the motel TV already buzzing with pundits decrying military scandals. Harlan's handiwork, no doubt. But in the chaos, an ally emerged. Becca Lang, Elias's estranged sister, emailing from Seattle. Saw the leak. Dad's unraveling, blames everyone but his hate. Meet me. Becca was a whirlwind, tattooed barista with Elias's eyes and a laugh that cut tension like a knife. They rendezvoused at a coffee shop near the Ohio State campus, steam curling from mugs as she slid across a photo album. He sent these before shipping out. Hidden ones. Snaps of Elias and Jamie at a forgotten barbecue. Arms slung casual, but eyes locked eternal. I knew about you too. He wrote me everything. After Mom intercepted one letter and burned it. Her words unlocked floodgates. Becca revealed the family schism. Elias's coming out at 19, met with conversion therapy pamphlets and locked doors. Dad called it saving the soul. Elias joined up to escape, but the army's no haven. Jamie shared fragments. The foxhole confessions, the coded notes in supply crates. Together, they plotted, leaked the journal selectively, frame it as Elias's testament to love's resilience. But twists breed countertwists. Harlan ambushed them at Becca's apartment, pounding the door with a Bible like a battering ram. Traitor, he bellowed, face purpled with rage. You poisoned my boy. Becca barricaded, but Jamie stepped out, journal raised like a shield. Read this, Reverend. Your son's words, not mine. The confrontation crackled, Harlan snatching pages, his bluster crumbling into sobs as Elias's pain leaped from ink. Your God demands perfection I can't fake. Jay sees the man, not the mask. Miriam arrived then, summoned by Becca's frantic text, collapsing into her husband's arms. For the first time, fractures showed mercy, whispers of regret, a tentative truce. Back in Fayetteville, the scandal swelled. Protests erupted outside base gates, rainbow flags waving beside crosses, chants of honor all heroes clashing with defend our values. Lena shielded Jamie from brass inquiries, but command summoned him to the CO's office, a grizzled colonel with a mustache like steel wool. Ruiz, this circus ends now. Resign quietly, or face review. Defiance flared. Sir, Captain Hart died for this uniform. His wishes deserve the same. The colonel paused, something softening in his gaze. Rumor had it his own son was queer, lost to silence years back. Stand down. I'll buy time. The journal's full reveal came at Elias's delayed memorial service, a packed auditorium at Fort Bragg humming with tension. Jamie, Becca, and Lena presented it on stage, projecting scanned pages on screens. Not just love letters, but indictments of don't ask era cruelties, pleas for a military that embraced fully. Gasps rippled, tears flowed. Harlan attended, seated front row, his presence a silent capitulation. In the aftermath, the trust cleared, but greater gifts emerged. Becca founded a foundation in Elias's name, Veterans Support for LGBTQ+ kin. Jamie re-enlisted, promoted under Lena's wing, his story fueling policy shifts in the ranks. And on quiet nights, under Carolina stars mirroring Afghan skies, Jamie traced Elias's tags, whispering back, North, always. Yet closure twisted one final time. A letter arrived from Kabul, an Afghan interpreter Elias had mentored, enclosing a thumb drive of videos. Elias laughing with locals, advocating for rights in Pashto whispers. Jamie's face blurred, but spirit eternal. Your captain saved us all, the note read. Now save his light. Jamie watched till dawn, heart full. The wish wasn't sealed. It burned brighter, a beacon against the dark. The auditorium's echoes faded into a buzz of murmured conversations, but Jamie lingered on the stage, the journal's weight now distributed among allies like seeds in fertile soil. Reporters swarmed the exits, microphones thrusting like spears, but Lena's arm barred them, her voice a whip. Give the man space. Becca squeezed Jamie's elbow, her grin fierce. We did it, hermano. Elias would be raising a beer to this mess. Outside, the North Carolina night wrapped cool arms around them, fireflies dancing like errant tracers. Jamie's truck coughed to life, carrying him and Becca to her rental, a cozy cabin on the edge of the base's sprawling pines. There, over takeout ribs slathered in sauce, they dissected the day's fallout. Dad called. Becca said, scrolling her phone. Said, he's sorry. In his way. Wants to meet you proper, no lawyers. Jamie paused, fork midway to mouth, the tang of barbecue turning bittersweet. Harlan's apology, if genuine, was a mountain moved, but mountains cast long shadows. What did you tell him? Becca shrugged, eyes twinkling with Elias's mischief. Told him to bring his checkbook for the foundation. And his ears open. Sleep evaded Jamie that night, the cabin's creaks conjuring ghosts. He slipped outside, journal in hand, settling on the porch swing with a lantern's glow. Flipping to an unmarked section, he found poetry. Elias's secret verses, raw as shrapnel. In foxholes we forged cathedrals slash of glances and guarded breaths slash your voice, my vesper bell slash ringing redemption through the regs. Tears pricked. Elias had been the poet, Jamie the soldier, roles blurring in love's alchemy. Dawn painted the sky in bruised purples when his phone vibrated. A text from Marcus. Saw the service. Damn man. Beers on me. And respect. The olive branch stung sweet. Their bunkmate bond, strained by rumors, mended in quiet solidarity. Jamie replied with a thumbs up, then drove Becca to the airport, her hug lingering like a benediction. Keep fighting the good fight. For him. For us. Fort Bragg swallowed him back, drills and deployments a rhythm he'd mastered, but now viewed through fractured lenses. Lena pulled strings for his next assignment. Stateside training cadre, molding recruits with Elias's ethos, tough love laced with empathy. Teach him what he taught you, she said during their handover coffee, her ring glinting under diner fluorescence. That strength ain't in silence. But peace fractured mid-autumn. A package arrived at base mail call. No return address. Brown paper crinkling like old wounds. Inside, a stack of letters, Elias's handwriting unmistakable, postmarked from deployments past. Tucked among them, a note in unfamiliar script, from a friend in the shadows. He wrote these for you, but fear sealed them away. Now let them fly. Jamie's hands trembled as he steamed open the first envelope in his quarters, the air thick with memories of shared bunks and stifled laughs. Jay, if this reaches you, know the ambush wasn't random. Intel whispers of leaks, brass turning blind eyes for politics. Stay sharp, I can't lose you to their games. Chills raced his spine. Elias had suspected betrayal, shadows in command playing soldiers as pawns. The letters spanned years. Early ones from basic, flirtations veiled as pep talks, later missives from Iraq, confessions amid sand-choked despair. One, dated weeks before Kandahar, chilled deepest. They're closing in, Jay. Whispers of my preferences reaching the CO's ears. If I fall, don't chase ghosts. Live the life we dreamed, unapologetic. Jamie's fist clenched paper. Elias had foreseen the noose, chosen silence to shield them both. He confided in Lena over encrypted calls, her response a growl. I've heard rumors. Old guard resenting the repeal, stirring shit to discredit reformers like Elias. They dug discreetly, Jamie cross-referencing dates with deployment logs, patterns emerging like veins in marble, suspicious intel drops, commanders with ties to conservative lobbies. Marcus, looped in via late-night smokes, provided grunt-level gossip. Yeah, that major from intel? Dude's got a shrine to Reagan and rainbows make him twitch. The probe deepened, alliances forming in unlikely quarters. A JAG officer, out and proud since repeal, offered pro bono dives into classifieds. Hart was marked. She revealed over secure video, her office a fortress of redacted files. Anonymous tip to CID about fraternization. They buried it, but it greased wheels for corner cutting on that convoy. Rage simmered, but Jamie channeled it into action. Anonymous tips to military watchdogs, bolstering the Foundation's advocacy arm. Becca flew east for Thanksgiving. The cabin now a war room strung with yarn and pins, mapping the conspiracy like a detective's board. Elias hated puzzles, she laughed, pinning a photo of their childhood treehouse. Said life's too short for half-truths. Harlan's redemption arc stuttered then surged. He arrived unannounced, rental car crunching gravel, a pie from Miriam in hand, pecan, Elias's favorite. Private. Jamie, he amended, voice gravelly. No sermon, just a folder of church ledgers, donations to anti-LGBTQ groups, his own signature damning. I was blind. This. Amends. Jamie accepted, throat tight, as Harlan's eyes met his. Raw, repentant. He loved fierce. Teach me how. The mending was tentative, shared stories by the fire, Harlan's Bible verses reframed through grace lenses. Miriam joined virtually, her letters blooming with questions. What made him smile in the end? Jamie sent journal scans, her replies laced with wonder. Our boy found his light in you. Winter bit hard, deployments looming like storm fronts. Jamie's cadre class included a raw recruit, kid named Tyler, wide-eyed and closeted, flinching at every toughen up, fairy jab from peers. Echoes of his own green days. Hey, Jamie pulled him aside after a brutal hike, breath fogging in the chill. Hart, captain I served under. He taught me. Vulnerability's the sharpest weapon. Own it. Tyler's breakthrough came mid-drill, outing himself in a squad huddle, voice steady as Jamie's nod. Ripples spread. The unit shifted, prejudices cracking under example's weight. Lena toasted it at officers' mess, to ghosts who linger loud. But the conspiracy's serpent struck back. Leaks hit the wire, doctored emails painting Elias as reckless, Jamie as opportunist. Protests reignited, crosses clashing with pride banners outside the gates. The CO hauled Jamie in again, face thunderous. This witch hunt's got your name, Ruiz. Step back, or it engulfs us all. Defiance ignited. With Becca and Harlan's networks, they countered. Press conference at the Foundation's launch gala. Journal originals displayed under glass like holy relics. Harlan spoke first, voice booming sans pulpit fire. I failed my son once. Won again. His love was his strength, let it be ours. Flashes popped, headlines shifted. Fallen heroes father champions LGBTQ legacy. The gale peaked in D.C., congressional hearings on military equity, Jamie testifying beside Lena and the JAG. Cameras rolled as he read Elias's final entry. To the brass who clip wings, love flies higher. Jay, if you hear this, endure. We're eternal. Senators shifted, bills advanced. Spring thawed the ground, and with it, Jamie's heart. He visited Arlington, journal pages fluttering in breeze, tracing Elias's name etched in marble. We won, Cap. Your wish? Unsealed and soaring. A cardinal alighted nearby, read as redemption, a sign, perhaps. Yet one twist lingered. The interpreter's drive held a video not of valor, but vulnerability. Elias, alone in tent light, confessing camera ward. Jay, if fate's cruel, know I chose you every dawn. Fight not just for us, but the silenced ranks behind. Jamie screened it for the cadre, tears unashamed, recruits vowed change. In Fayetteville's bloom, Jamie dated tentatively, a barista with Becca's spark, but Elias's shadow loomed gentle, not jealous. Love, he'd learned, multiplies. The journal? Donated to the foundation, pages digitized for warriors worldwide. Elias's final wish wasn't death's seal, but life's forge, hammering hate into hope, one revealed truth at a time. Summer scorched the Carolinas, humidity clinging like regret, but Jamie's world hummed with purpose. The foundation, now Heart's Haven, buzzed in a leased warehouse near base, walls papered with recruit letters. Your story saved me from the edge. Tyler, his protege, volunteered weekends, organizing mixers where straight and queer GIs swapped war stories sans suspicion. Like family, Tyler grinned, slinging pizza boxes, the kind that doesn't disown you. Lena's promotion to major brought champagne toasts in her new office, overlooking parade grounds where flags snapped crisp. To climbing ladders we built ourselves, she raised her glass, eyes misty. Jamie clinked, but his mind wandered to Montana dreams. Elias's napkin sketches now pinned to his fridge, a roadmap deferred but not discarded. Harlan's visits grew routine, the Reverend trading sermons for carpentry, hammering bookshelves for the Haven's library. Hands-on faith, he'd quip, sawdust flecking his collar. Miriam joined once, frail but fierce, gifting quilts stitched with Elias's initials, fabrics scavenged from his boyhood room. Warmth for cold nights, she whispered, folding one into Jamie's arms. The conspiracy's embers flared unexpectedly. A whistleblower surfaced, an intel analyst from Elias's unit, emailing Lena with trembling keystrokes. They knew about the ID. Brass let it ride to flush undesirables. Attachments, memos redacted but damning, timestamps aligning with Elias's suspicions. The analyst, a closeted trans woman named Riley, met them in a Raleigh diner, hoodie shadowing her face. Hart was targeted. His advocacy pissed off the old boys. Petitions for repeal, you know? Jamie's blood boiled. Visions of that Afghan ditch sharpening to knives. Names. Riley nodded, sliding a USB. Starts with Colonel Vance, your CO's golf buddy. Ends in DC shadows. Lena's jaw set. She looped JAG, but Jamie pushed bolder. We go public. Tie it to the hearings. Backlash bit swift. Vance cornered Jamie post-PT, breath sour with coffee and contempt. Stirring pots. Private? Hart's dead. Let heroes rest. The threat veiled as advice, but Jamie recorded it discreetly, fuel for the fire. Marcus, overhearing in the locker room, clapped his back. Got your 6, Hermano. Vance has got skeletons. Ask around. The expose dropped like a frag grenade. Investigative piece in The Atlantic, journal excerpts woven with Riley's docs. Headlines screamed, betrayal in the ranks, how prejudice cost lives. Protests swelled, but this time unified. Veterans groups marching with pride contingents, Harlan's churchgoers waving signs. Justice for all soldiers. Vance resigned amid inquiries. His successor a reform-minded bird colonel who greenlit Haven partnerships for sensitivity trainings. Riley transitioned openly, Jamie walking her through base gates on her first day, cheers erupting like fireworks. "You gave me wings," she hugged him, voice breaking. Becca's visit coincided with Haven's first anniversary gala, a tinted affair on Fayetteville Fairgrounds, lanterns swaying like stars. She arrived with a +1, her girlfriend, a soft-spoken librarian named Quinn, their hands intertwined casual as breathing. Elias would have grilled her on books, Becca laughed, toasting with sweet tea. Harlan cornered Jamie mid-dance floor, actual dancing, recruits twirling with dates of all stripes. "Proud of this," the Reverend rumbled, gesturing wide. "Proud of you." But Joy's underbelly stirred doubt. Late night, Jamie pored over Elias's letters anew, one passage haunting. "Jay, love's not a battlefield. It's the truce after. But what if peace unmakes us?" Was moving on betrayal? He confided in Tyler during a trail run, sweat-stinging eyes. "Cap's gone, but feels like I'm leaving him behind." Tyler halted, breath ragged. "Nah, Sarge. You're carrying him forward. That's the win." Autumn leaves turned pyre gold when the next blow landed. A defamation suit from Vance's cronies, alleging libel, dragging Haven's funds into jeopardy. Lawyers swarmed, Lena's contacts rallying, but stress carved hollows under Jamie's eyes. Becca flew in, Quinn in tow, turning the cabin into a strategy den. "Fight dirty if they do," Quinn advised, her research uncovering donor ties to hate groups. Harlan surprised again, leveraging pulpit sway for a counter-fundraiser, megachurch livestream pulling pledges from unlikely allies. "Faith without action's dead," he preached, screen split with Jamie's testimony. Donations flooded, suit dismissed on evidentiary holes. Winter brought healing's hush. Jamie led a Haven retreat in the Smokies. Cabins nestled in fog-shrouded hollows, vets sharing circles under crackling fires. One night, a burly Marine outed his bisexuality, voice cracking. "Heart story? Gave me guts." Applause thundered. Jamie read from the journal, Elias's words weaving spells. Personal tides turned too. The barista, Sophia, vibrant with curly hair and a laugh like bells, invited him to a poetry slam in Raleigh. He went, reciting Elias's verses anonymously, her hand finding his in the dim crowd. "Beautiful," she whispered post-stage. Raw. Their first kiss tasted of coffee and courage, Elias's blessing a warm ghost. Spring 2026 bloomed with promotions. Jamie to Staff Sergeant, Lena to Battalion XO. The CO pinned his stripes in a quiet ceremony, murmuring, "Hearted be beaming." Becca announced Haven's DC expansion, Harlan vowing board seat. Yet the deepest twist uncoiled in a yellowed envelope from Miriam. Elias's childhood diary, smuggled past Harlan's early purges. Pages chronicled boyish crushes, prayers for normalcy, a resolve forged young. "I'll love true, no matter the cost." Jamie visited Ohio, sharing at graveside at Arlington, two relics reunited in soil. The journal's legacy? Digitized archives, curricula in academies, a film in talks. Jamie, Sophia at his side, attended the premiere years later, credits rolling with "In Memory of Captain Elias Hart." Lover, leader, light. Elias's wish, not sealed, but sung, a symphony of truths, harmonies rising from discord, eternal. The film's premiere lights dazzled Hollywood's Walk of Fame, but Jamie stood in the shadows of palm trees, Sophia's fingers laced through his, grounding the surreal swirl. Paparazzi flashes popped like distant gunfire, reporters clamoring for the real Jamie Ruiz. He obliged sparingly, soundbites on resilience, nods to Elias, but inside, vertigo spun, from foxholes to red carpets, a trajectory Elias would have mocked with a grin. Back east, Haven's DC outpost thrummed, a sleek townhouse near DuPont Circle, walls alive with murals of intertwined hands and camo. Becca helmed it, Quinn her steadfast co-pilot, their wedding a low-key affair in Seattle that Jamie officiated, vows echoing Elias's letters. "In storms and silences, we choose each other." Harlan walked Becca down the aisle, tears carving tracks through his beard, Miriam beaming from front row. Lena's battalion command brought her to the Pentagon's orbit, Briefings with generals who once sneered now soliciting her input on inclusion protocols. Hearts ripple. She texted Jamie post-meeting, emoji fist bump attached. Tyler, now corporal, rotated to her unit, their banter a lifeline across deployments. Jamie balanced cadre duties with Haven outreach, crisscrossing bases from Pendleton to Lejeune, workshops blending Elias's tactics with vulnerability drills. Recruits opened up, a lesbian aviator grappling command prejudice, a gay intel specialist fearing leaks. "You're proof it gets better," they said, but Jamie demurred. "Nah, you're the proof." Sophia wove into this tapestry, her art studio in Fayetteville a haven of canvases splashed with soldier silhouettes, abstracted loves in khaki and crimson. Elias inspires, she confessed one evening, easel between them, turpentine sharp in the air. Their rhythm deepened. Lazy Sundays with her abuela's arroz con pollo, hikes where he'd read journal snippets aloud, her head on his shoulder. But scars itch. A nightmare jolted him awake. Kandahar flames, Elias's whisper lost in roar. Sophia held him through tremors, murmuring Spanish lullabies till dawn. "His ghost doesn't haunt," she said. "It guides." Therapy unpacked it. Base counselor unpacking survivor's guilt, reframing love as ally, not anchor dragging him under. Harlan's evolution peaked at a joint service, his megachurch hosting a Haven panel, rainbow banners flanking the cross. He introduced Jamie. "This man knew my son's heart when I wouldn't look." Applause swelled. Miriam's quilt-draped podium, a tapestry of forgiveness. The old conspiracy's hydra reared once more, subtler, a congressional holdup on equity bills, whispers of Vance's allies in backrooms. Riley, now policy advisor, alerted them, their dredging Hearts file, twisting it for ammo. Jamie rallied the network, Lena's brass contacts, Becca's media savvy, Harlan's donor pull. Counteroffensive launched at a Hill briefing, Jamie's testimony laser-sharp. Captain Hart died not just for country, but for a force that sees all soldiers whole. Clips went viral, bills unstuck, signed in a Rose Garden ceremony where the president clasped Jamie's hand. "For heroes like him, and you." Summer brought levity, a Haven retreat in Montana, Elias's dreamed ranchlands rolling golden under big skies. Jamie proposed to Sophia there, rings simple silver etched with coordinates, their foxhole lat long. She yesed with a whoop, recruits cheering from campfire circles. Autumn whispers of change. Jamie eyed OCS, Lena's nudge, lead like he did. Tyler shipped to Europe, promising postcards. Becca announced pregnancy, little firecracker incoming. Winter's gift, Miriam's passing, peaceful in hospice. Her final words to Jamie via video. "Tell Elias I see now. Love wins." Funeral blended faiths. Harlan's eulogy quoting scripture on prodigal welcomes. Becca's toast to unbreakable threads. Spring 2028 flowered with commissions. Jamie's bars pinned amid cheers, Sophia beaming ringside. Their wedding fused cultures. Bronx salsa crashing Ohio hymns. Harlan dancing awkwardly with Abuela. Years layered like sediment. Haven chapters dotted the map, journal replicas in museums. Jamie, Colonel now, testified globally. Sophia's exhibits toured. Shadows to light. Elias's wish. A legacy woven wide. Threads of truth binding wounds, illuminating paths unseen. One eve, under Virginia oaks, Jamie and Sophia scattered Elias's ashes, pilfered symbolic pinch from a private urn. "To freedoms you forged," he toasted. Wind carried them skyward, a final unsealing. The wind whispered through the Virginia oaks like a lover's secret, carrying the faint scatter of Elias's ashes toward the horizon where the James River bent lazy under twilight. Jamie stood with Sophia, her head on his shoulder, the moment intimate as their vows. Raw, unscripted, a quiet coda to symphonies of struggle. "He'd hate the fuss," Jamie murmured, pocketing the empty urn. Sophia squeezed his hand. "Nah, he'd love the view." Their life post-scatter unfolded in balanced cadence. Jamie's colonelcy demanding DC shuttles, Sophia's gallery shows dotting coasts. Haven's tendrils reached international, partnerships with NATO allies, workshops and allied bases where Elias's ethos echoed in accents from Berlin to Seoul. Becca's son, Elias named, toddled into panels, chubby fists waving tiny flags, a living emblem of legacies past. Lena retired with stars, her memoir, Unbroken Lines, a bestseller blending battle yarns with love's logistics. For the captains who couldn't speak, dedication read, Jamie first edition signed. To Foxhole Brothers, Eternal. Tyler, Major now, helmed a European chapter, his wedding to a Dutch pilot streamed to Fayetteville, where Jamie walked him down the aisle per tradition borrowed from Becca. Harlan's church evolved, affirming sermons drawing crowds diverse as Haven mixers, his book From Stone to Grace, a quiet hit in divinity schools. Elias taught me God loves the outlaw heart, he'd say, eyes finding Jamie in pews during visits. Personal joys crested. Sophia's pregnancy announced at a family barbecue, Harlan grilling veggie skewers with surprising flair, Miriam's quilt swaddling the bump. A new heart thread, Becca toasted, little Eli gurgling approval. But echoes persist. A recruit's suicide, closeted despair amid repeal's aftershocks, yanked Jamie back to front lines, testifying in inquiries, journal invoked as shield. We honor the fallen by saving the living, he urged senators, voice steel-forged. Riley's rise to undersecretary brought reforms, mandatory ally trainings, trans-inclusive policies. "O.U. Ruiz," she said it swearing in, hugging fierce. Hart's truth lit the way. Twists, ever present, came gentler now. A lost letter surfacing in attic digs, Elias's boyhood note to Becca. "Sis, when I grow, I'll fight for loves like ours, fierce and free." Framed in their nursery, it watched over Sophia's labor, baby girl arriving with Elias's blue eyes, named Aria, Song of the Unsealed. Years blurred to decades. Haven a nonprofit behemoth, Jamie its graying steward, Sophia's arthritic hands still sketching. Grandkids romped grounds, stories of great-gramps Elias mythologized into bedtime lore. Final wish? Not a seal, but a spark, igniting fires across horizons, warming the cold silences forever. Sunsets over deceased monuments painted the sky in hues Elias would have sketched, fiery oranges bleeding into indigos, a canvas of closure. Jamie, silver threading his temples, strolled the mall with Sophia, her cane tapping rhythm like a heartbeat. Aria, now a whip-smart lieutenant fresh from West Point, flanked them, her engagement ring catching light. "Tell me again about the journal," she begged, eyes alight with that heart hunger for stories. Jamie obliged, voice weathered but warm, weaving the tale from explosion to exposé. Sophia interjected with artist flourishes. "Your dad saw colors in people others missed." Becca joined via hologram from Seattle, grandkids orbiting her like moons, chiming. "And don't forget Grandpa Harlan's pie disasters." Lena's 90s found her in Florida Keys, speedboat zipping waves, memoir sequels dictating to AIDS. Still unbroken, she'd video call, Tyler beside her, his Dutch husband cooking paella. Hearted say with a victory lap. Harlan passed gently at 98, pulpit eulogy by Jamie. He learned love late, but loved it loud. Church overflowed, queer couples hand in hand, vets in wheelchairs saluting. Miriam awaited in eternity, her quilt's legacy donations to Haven shelters. Trials lingered, global tensions testing inclusion gains, but Aria's generation pushed back. Petitions, protests, policies. "We stand on giants," she'd say, journal facsimile in her rucksack. Joys compounded. Aria's wedding in Montana ranchlands, Elias's dream realized. Vows under big skies, Jamie's toast. Love's the compass. Follow true. Grandbabies inherited the tags, stories sung lullaby soft. Sophia's gallery retrospective packed rooms, unsealed, portraits of resilience centering Elias's face amid abstracts. "For the man who painted my world," plaque read. Jamie authored the capstone. North Star, a captain's compass, bestseller bridging barracks to boardrooms. Dedication. To J. Wait, that's me. To all JS, navigate bold. Twilight years gifted reflection. Porch swings in Carolina cabins. Journal originals yellowed but cherished. Sophia passed first, hand in his, whispering, "See you in the foxhole." Alone but not. Jamie scattered her ashes with Elias's pinch, wind mingling souls. Aria's kids asked, "What was the wish, Pop?" He smiled, eyes distant. "To be seen. To love loud. And damn if we didn't make it so." The seal broken, truths eternal. Rippling waves from one journal's brave ink. Epilogue's hush settled like autumn frost, but life's pulse never stilled. Jamie, at 85, wheeled through Haven's DC headquarters, now a gleaming center with global feeds linking chapters from Kabul to Kiev. Aria, Colonel Commanding, briefed him on latest wins. AI-vetted psych screens catching despair early, queer veteran housing pods nationwide. "Your blueprint, Dad," she said, kissing his brow. Becca, frilier but fierce, visited monthly, little Eli, now a queer rights attorney, trailing with case files. "Auntie Lena called from the Keys," she reported. "Says Tyler's villa's got a Heart Haven wing. Dutch efficiency, American heart." Grandkids, a brood boisterous, clambered Jamie's lap for tales. The explosion's roar softened to adventure. Journals reveal a detective yarn. "Did Grandpa Elias have superpowers?" one lisped. Jamie chuckled, tags glinting. "Better, truth's his cape." Reflections deepened in quiet hours, study lined with artifacts. Vance's redacted memo framed mockingly, Harlan's amended ledger beside Miriam's quilt swatch. Sophia's portrait hung central, eyes laughing eternal. A final twist arrived via courier. Declassified dossier from Afghan ops, stamped, "Heart inquiry closed, vindicated." Inside, commendation for Elias's exemplary foresight. Shadows named, justice poetic. Jamie donated it to archives, ceremony small, family only, toast with Springsteen croons. To unsealed wishes, Aria raised glass. Winter's End found him at Arlington, snow dusting marble, Elias's stone crisp. "Made it full circle, Cap," he murmured, journal page pressed to granite. "Your North led true." Spring burst, Aria's promotion parade marching past, troops diverse, flags waving unity. Jamie saluted from stands, heart swelling. Legacy? A world softer at edges, love's bolder in light. The gay captain's wish, once sealed in silence, echoed thunderous. A journal's truth rewriting stars.